welcome to another installment of Metalhead Central, the show where I take an honest look at the harder side of music and give it an honest rating. Today, we're going to take a trip to instrumental post-metal territory and examine an album by a band well known for their interesting take on the genre. It's Pelican's new album, Nighttime Stories. It was released June 7th on Southern Lord Recordings. We've already looked at one album off this label this year. That was the Sun album, Life Metal, and it was kind of interesting. So, let's see what this one had to offer, shall we? Now, I had never heard anything from this band before. I definitely heard of the band, but I never heard anything extensively. I wanted to be prepared for this review, so I flipped open YouTube, and I listened to their album, The Fire in Our Throats Will Beckon the Thaw. Aside from the completely unnecessary, overly complicated album title, the record itself was actually very, very impressive, and it got me excited for their new release. But the question is, did they deliver? Here's the deal. This album is one that is full of these minute twists and turns that help make it stand out from other albums that would be just like this one. But those tiny differences help create an atmosphere of interest. It holds the listener very well, and it's well balanced between heaviness and melody. I like the use of two of the tracks as breathers on here. Album opener WTS, which again is an excellent album opener in a year in which album openers have been outstanding. It's a nearly acoustic track, filled with a melody that is very calm and comforting. But within that comfort is this wariness. It's like you don't know where you're going to go next. It's very soothing, but at the same time, it basically preps you for a punch to the gut. It's like it's telling the listener that there's just this monster, this big monster, hiding amongst the shadows. It's like you're taking a deep breath before diving into a sea of post-metal and post-rock stuff that takes you through winding valleys into the deepest chasms of the ocean before spitting you right back out. When you do get spat out, you find yourself in the fifth track of the album, It Stared at Me, which lulls you, again, with its own acoustics, before forcing you to take that same breath and dive right back into the heavier music. The final three tracks on this album are outstanding. I especially enjoyed the band's usage of melody throughout these tracks. It works on many different levels, and that's where a listener can get hooked. On the downside, unfortunately, this is another album that teeters on the verge of being, and I've used this before, metal elevator music. If it didn't have the dynamics that it did, it would be thrown directly into that garbage bin. I put it on, and there were times when I completely forgot it was on. Suddenly, it would come to the end of a track, and I would go, well, where the heck did the time go on that one? So, some people could potentially consider this background noise as opposed to the wonderful album that it was. All in all, Pelican have released another well-choreographed, wonderfully played, and beautifully put-together post-metal album. It's got the flow, dynamics, and balance that this genre kind of demands, and it works together really well. Is it Album of the Year material? Maybe not quite. There's a couple of missteps, but in this reviewer's mind, it comes pretty darn close. Does it stack up to some of their earlier work? I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of the band, so I'll reserve judgment when it comes to that point. But from what I've heard, both on this one and on the other one with the really long album title, I'll definitely be checking them out more. I'm giving Nighttime Stories by Pelican a 91 out of 100 on the YPS scale. Thank you so much for watching. Click like, and don't forget to subscribe for more Metalhead Central and the Metal Artist Review Show. Next week, we're heading into some interesting, rather uncharted waters and examining Baroness's new album, Gold and Grey. They have an affinity for naming their albums after colors. But will this new effort paint a nice musical picture? Or will it be dull and gray? I hope you'll tune in next week and find out. You've been watching Metalhead Central, where I give honest ratings to honest music. I'll see y'all next time.